You've most likely wrapped up your draft and started looking over the waiver wire for potential players to add. Well, look no further because today, Matt and I have you covered on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino. You can find me on Twitter at DomMartinoFB. Here, as always, is my brother, my co-host, my partner in crime, Matthew Ine, and you can find him on Twitter at Matthew_Ine. If you're listening on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly appreciate it if you could do that for us. And if you're watching on YouTube and you haven't already, hit that little bell below. It subscribes to the channel and gives you notifications every time we drop a new episode. And lastly, but most importantly, to Matt and I, guys, join us on the Subtext platform with the season right around the corner. You guys want injury alerts, prospect call-ups, deep insights, and much more than Matt and I can offer on this 30-minute podcast. Make sure you check us out on the Subtext platform. Link is in bio. And guys, real quick, today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use the code all lowercase LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. And guys, we're doing a very fun episode today. Most likely you've drafted already, and we hope you did well. Hopefully you got some advice from Matt and I. And today we're telling you who you need to make sure you have on your watch list going into the season. And Matt, is that the haterade? If you guys aren't watching on YouTube, Matt has something. I don't know if it's haterade. Is it, Matt? Is it haterade?
Nah, it's love juice.
Okay, good.
Yeah, everybody that we're talking about today, I pretty much am is already on my watch list, or I've already added them to my team. Let's put it this way. I'm ready to rock. These are guys I'm interested in adding if they're available, or I'm interested to see what they're going to do over the first couple days to see if it'll entice me to add them or not. So, today's episode's a good exercise. We do it every year since we were the MDs, and it seems to pan out. I usually get like 2 or 3 guys every year that usually ends up being a contributor every day. Last year was James Outman. Did this like a week before the season started. And how you doing? So let's get it rocking and rolling. I'm gonna start off with a name, an oldie, a goodie, Kris Bryant. Kris Bryant is 33% owned. Kris Bryant is somebody that everybody was burned with last year and the year before, and probably the year before that. He just can't manage to stay healthy. And you know what? I understand. But at this point, you're picking him off waiver wires. You probably drafted a guy like Kodai Senga or Scherzer or Kershaw or any of the guys that are going to be on the IL in a matter of days. And you may need an outfielder or a first baseman or just a good UT bat, right? Kris Bryant is mashing it during spring training right now, and quite honestly, he hit a dinger today, I might add. But he has 4 home runs over this. He's batting about 212, which, I mean, it is what it is. Who cares? He's going to do better than that. He's had a career batting average of so much better than what he's showing in spring. And it's only spring training. He's a career 276 hitter. So ultimately, what I'm looking at with Kris Bryant is, if he could manage to even play 400 at bats, right? He gets 400 at bats, which is like what, 120 games, something like that. He can at least have, if not 30, close to 30 home runs, a good chunk of ribbies and runs. He could bat about 250 to 265, and you're a happy boy or girl. Um, Especially picking him up free 99, 33% owned. Quite honestly, watch him, add him. I added him, but I mean, I wouldn't mind watching him either. If he starts mashing and getting off to a hot start, you're gonna want to pick him up and not miss out on the journey. As long as he's healthy, he's gonna be good.
Hey, Matt, great take on KB. I absolutely love KB. Had him in one of my long-term keeper leagues for a long time. He just has to stay on the diamond. That's all. Just has to stay on the diamond, stay healthy, and he'll be productive. The batting average should be plus. The homers should be, decent. Obviously, he's not going to steal bases anymore. The injuries have piled up over the years. He hasn't stolen a base, back since 2021. But I love me some Kris Bryant. Definitely a name I've thrown on my watch list as well. Matt, great take there. Let's talk about somebody that Matt and I don't think we've talked about this guy, too much. And I think he deserves his due diligence. Let's talk about Jase Medical. Makes the opening day roster for the San Diego Padres. And guess what? It's not even as shortstop. He's playing the outfield. I watched a couple of games. He looked pretty good in the outfield, looked pretty natural out there. He's a, big baseball boy, as Matt and I like. And I think Jase Medical is, if somebody, you don't know, is, definitely got to throw him on the watch list at least. His ownership percentage is fairly low, but it's been rising up since it was announced that he made the opening day roster. He's up at 40% right now. Once again, we're talking about Jase Medical. And I really think you just have to, take a shot on him. Shortstop is actually pretty thin. As Matt can attest to, we did a draft last night, didn't really like the shortstop situation, and especially a league that goes that deep. But Jase Medical is somebody you can look to, only 40% owned. Once again, minor league stats look pretty good for the kid. Let's even just talk about last year. Merrill played 68 games, had 279 at-bats, 50 runs, 12 doubles, 2 triples, 10 homers, 33 RBIs, 10 steals, 17 walks, and 37 strikeouts, and he hit 280. Has a little bit of speed, a little bit of pop. Gonna play in that Padres lineup, but they still have Tatis, they still have Machado, still have Kim, still have a bunch of decent young guys that could potentially break forward this year. And I think Jase Medical is going to be along for the ride, as a 21-year-old.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. We might see like a 2020 season from him. You might get, a decent amount of runs and ribs out of him. Average is still questionable. He's a rookie. So, I mean, if he hits 250, I'm pretty happy. And if he goes 2020, I'm pretty happy as well. And there's upside. He's only this is his age 21 season. So,
Yes,
like,
sir.
you can't really even like expect too much from a young dude, but the upside is serious. He needs to put on about 10 pounds, and this cute dude could probably start mashing. So Jase Medical has a lot of upside, especially in keeper leagues. I'd add him pretty much immediately. He's one guy, if he's out there, add him. He's only 40% owned, so he's out there in about 60% of leagues. All right, let's talk about our next guy here. Guy I brought up like 9 times. Somebody I said even was a must draft, and that's Jordan Westburg. Jackson Holiday didn't get the nod. He, got sent over to third and still has the eligibility to just really just be good for you. He's pretty much, I believe, like free 99. He's available almost everywhere. Let's pull that up real quick. He is 31% owned. And yeah, it wasn't the most prettiest sight when he came up, but I mean, he's having a decent spring. He has 2 bombs. He has 8 ribs. He's batting 280. He's got 10 runs, a double, 3 doubles, and a triple. Like, that's a really good spring for a guy to start off his, essentially his full rookie year. Because, I mean, he played what? How many games last year?
Not pretty much nothing.
Yes, the 68, though. I mean, that's
Yeah, a little bit.
yeah, but I mean, he's about to have like a true rookie season and really start and not really have to adjust. I like this. Westberg seems to be off to a hot start, and at 31% owned, I'd watch him. I don't know if I'm adding him right away. You drafted guys that were higher than him, and you might want to see how they pan out first. But if this dude starts lighting up the league quick, you might want to go and add him real quick. So just keep an eye on him, put him on that watch list. Even if you can, download what is it, Bleacher Report, I guess it is, and you can set a notification on him, and you'll get all the news. If he starts going off, you'll start getting the notifications, and you might want to add him.
Yeah, Matt, great take on Westberg there. And any exposure to that Orioles lineup is good at this time with, all those budding superstars. Roster Resource has Westberg projected to hit 9th. So, you know what? He's going to have some opportunities to be driven in. So the runs could be good. He's got a little bit of power. As Matt mentioned, decent average opportunity for the young Jordan Westberg too. But right now, keep your eye on watch list, deeper league ad, maybe 15s, corner infield type of league, stuff like that. But before we move on here and we talk about a former number 1 pick, we got another Orioles player in there that has made the roster, and starting pitching's tough, and we have a bunch of those as well. But before that, we do have a quick ad break for you guys.
PrizePicks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. They are the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. It's just you against the numbers instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks. You pick more or less than 2 to 6 player stats projections and watch their winnings roll in. Exploring my skills on PrizePicks this season adds an extra layer of excitement to daily fantasy sports. With just a few taps, I could transform $10 into $1,000 if I've got the skills. PrizePicks is incredibly user friendly. You can make a selection and submit your entry in less than 60 seconds. And as the host of Locked On Fantasy Baseball, I might as well give you some good recommendations on some picks. Offer higher than 5 strikeouts for Logan Webb in a single game this season. That ain't going to fail. Choose higher than .5 steals for Ellie De La Cruz in a single game. And consider a long season-long pick of higher than 50 stolen bases for Bobby Witt Jr. I feel that's a no-brainer as well. So download the app today. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB for first deposit match up to $100. Again, download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It is that easy. And guys, are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day and have to turn down the volume for all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today. And for 24/7, oh, wow, I am reading. Yeah, no, I'm reading it right. 24/7 streaming channel program on every day brings you the largest streaming channel on Locked On Sports today and streamed on YouTube and Amazon Fire TV channel apps and Locked. Wow, I did bring the wrong one. Okay. So we're just going to kill that real quick. So, guys, I'm really on my game today. But we're talking about that 24/7 streaming channel. You don't want to miss out on that. And also, we're introducing the Locked On Fantasy Baseball Diamond Club on Subtext, your ultimate fantasy baseball companion. Dive into this offseason with Dom and I as we, well, pretty much we've giving you all the rankings and stuff. Your drafts have happened. So you kind of want to just rely on our in-season content where we get real-time alerts right to your phone, including waiver wire rankings, instant call-up notifications, injury reactions, and a whole lot more. Stay ahead of your fantasy leagues by joining the Diamond Club on Subtext today, where your path to victory begins. Subscribe now and elevate that fantasy baseball experience. So as you can tell, we still have some off-season stuff that we need to work out of that. Also,
Working out
too,
the kinks.
yeah, and kind of little hectic day today. But anyway, guys, also too, if you're on the subtext, or if you're planning to join, you'll get a ranked, priority based off of, everybody that we talk about on the subtext, who we'd add, who we'd kind of really watch and how prioritize who we're grabbing and stuff. So you're gonna want to get on there. But yeah, I'm done stumbling. Yeah, Dom, take it away. Let me stop talking, please.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So let's just get right back into the meat and potatoes. Guys that need to be on your watch list. And the funny thing is, I think Matt touched on it briefly. Some of these guys, you're going to add them and you're going to look back a month, 2, 3, in the playoffs and say, hey, these guys are still on my roster. So make sure you're at least doing your due diligence and at least going to your waiver wire and checking out who's available. But let's talk about that former number 1 overall pick, Casey Mize. Casey Mize is back. He's dealt with, a plethora of injuries over his career. But you know what? He's healthy and has looked good so far this spring training at 27 years old. This spring training, Casey Mize has 4 starts, a 2.35 ERA, 15 innings, 14 strikeouts, 9 walks. A little bit concerning, but you know what? Only no home runs. I like to see that. It hasn't really given up any home runs yet. I love to see that. The whip is 1.23, but that's going to come. That's the last thing to come back after a major injury. So I think I like the comp of a prime Kyle Hendricks for what Casey Mize can be. He's going to have a very low ERA. Good at suppressing runs, around a K per 9, probably under, but the control should round into form. If you look back at that 2021 season for Casey Mize as a 24-year-old, he really showed us, hey, I'm on my way. I can get it done in the bigs. 30 starts that year, 3.71 ERA, 1.13 whip, 150 innings, 118 strikeouts. So that was the step in the right direction. Got derailed by injuries in 2022. He's back now. He's only 10% owned. Once again, Casey Mize. At least throw him on your watch list. In those deeper leagues, you might even want to consider adding him. And it's a good home park to pitch into in Detroit.
Quite honestly, I don't see how we don't add him. He's one of the guys I'm probably I would put on the ad list here.
Yeah,
Uh,
I agree.
and based off of just the fact that, one, he's got the protection of Detroit's home field. Two, you got a lot of progression, even being not playing for 2 years. He's come back and he has more of a pitch than he had, just really like a fastball and then 3 different two other pitches that kind of are just different variations of fastball. He now has developed other pitches.
Matt,
Actually
can I
has.
chime in and say one more thing? I actually
Yeah,
forgot to say. You're there talking about his fastball. His velocity on his fastball has actually been up this spring.
I was
He
getting there.
normally sits. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead, take it away. I forgot to say it. You would go. You could go in there. I'm sorry.
It's all good. But yeah, no, I mean, so essentially, now has a breaking speed to match his nice fastball that he has gained, velocity on, because we usually was sitting at what, Dom? You could tell me now, because
Yeah, no, he normally sat around like 92, 93. Now he's topping out around 95, 96. So if he can stay there consistently, as Matt, as you have always, said, maybe he does unlock some strikeout upside. I totally forgot to say that. So as you were there talking about the fastball popped in my head, and I was like, oh damn, we
yeah,
definitely should talk about that.
yeah, no, it's all the steps in the right directions for a guy that's about to not only like come out and be a sleeper, essentially like in season sleeper, but a guy that is gonna break out entirely. Like I think we already would have saw it, but he continued on his development and really took the step forward, even with dealing with some serious issues. So Casey Mize, if you're not adding him, you're gonna miss out on him after his first start, because I think the dude's gonna come out and just be lights out. But yeah, let's move on. Let's talk about Trevor Story. Story is another one. You know, was dealing with injuries last couple years, but finally coming into the season healthy. In his short little stint last year, yeah, the batting average wasn't great at 203, but it was a lot of highlights for me. Right, he had 10 stolen bases. He had 14 ribs. He had 3 bombs. He had 12 runs, and this was 158 at bats. Quite honestly, I didn't know if we were going to see Trevor Story really be effective and steal bases consistently like he has in the past. And I apologize for my voice. And quite honestly, now I'm looking at it and I'm like, there's some serious value here. Story can actually do some things, and he's pretty nicely sitting there, almost free 99 as well, I think. Let me see real quick because I forgot his thing.
68% owned. He's out there a little bit.
So he's been picked up just a tad, but I mean, in that, what, 22% of the leagues, 32% of the leagues, my math is terrible. Um, you might want to go out there and add him, especially with shortstop, going so fast, because there's a lot of high contributors. With second base, I believe he also has, you know,
I don't think so. At least not on Yahoo here.
no, well, I'm striking out today. It's Story just essentially just needs to be added all across the board, especially if you missed out on stolen bases, and possibly could give you a little pop too.
Yeah, Matt, great take, power, speed there with Story. Somebody that, if he's out there, you could definitely take a look his way. I don't know if the batting average is going to get back to where it was in the Colorado days, but somebody that could hit, 230, 240 pop speed. Definitely love the upside there for Trevor Story. I'm going to try and sneak one last guy in before we hit this last ad break. I want to talk Jack Flaherty. Somebody who's super intriguing to me, has had another guy with a plethora of injuries over his career, but he's been on fire this spring training. He's looked really, really good. And, the underlying stuff has looked good for him as well this spring training. So it gives me reason to believe again. Jack Flaherty's still only 28. 2.95 ERA for Flaherty. The spring, 6 starts, 18 innings, 26 strikeouts, only 4 walks, and a 0.98 whip. I think we have to give him at least a chance. And it's not really costing anything right now. I know he's like been the waiver wire darling so far. All of the off season, I see him on like the most added player list like every single day. He's still only 25% owned. Honestly, like I said, in a good ballpark to pitch in. Detroit is very good with starting pitching. Has Flaherty turned a corner? Looks like maybe, but I'm at least buying in for now. I could have him as the last pitcher on my roster.
I mean, quite honestly, you ride the wave with him, because if he is
Yeah.
healthy and effective, he's good. He's just one of those two pitch guys where like he does eventually get figured out, but usually he starts off a little hot and then you see how it kind of plays out. It's either one of two things: either the league figures him out or he gets hurt first. It's just a matter of which one comes first. Um, if Jack Flaherty can add another pitch inconsistent and be consistent with it, Jack Flaherty actually poses a threat to be very, very, very good. It's just a matter of what the outcome is going to be with him. But let's just pray that he pitches, I don't know, 100 innings this year. But anyway, we got one last sponsor here, and then we're going to talk, to be honest, a guy that's going to get you some home runs, a guy that actually is another elite Dodger pitcher, in my opinion. Guy that's been tearing up spring training. Another pitcher coming off that Miami, which hopefully he keeps his rotation spot. And a guy that's been crushing all spring training. Before that, we do have an ad for you.
And guys, of course, we're talking about our friends at FanDuel. Say goodbye to those busted brackets because FanDuel lets you bet on every game of the tourney. Whether you're betting on a big upset or the number one seed, when it's time to go dancing, it's all going to be done on America's number one sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 to use on point spreads, money lines. You can even pick who's going to win it all. Just visit fanduel.com/locked on and bet on college hoops until they cut down the nets.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, Matt, let's hop back in here. You gave your thoughts on Flaherty, right? Am I losing it over here?
No, we're
Or
good. Yeah, we can
okay,
move
so
on.
yeah, let's keep pushing, brother. Then who do we got up next, man?
We got Brent Rooker. I promise you some power. And this is, the new age Joey Gallo / Chris Chris Davis kind of player. Not going to give you a lot of batting average, probably going to be about anywhere from 230 to 240. Going to hit you about 30 bombs. Possibly more. There's 40 upside if you can, get 500 at bats this year. The runs and ribbies are going to be lower because he plays for, the Oakland A's. But, between him and, Geloff, maybe they could drive each other in and, maybe get more than one go around at a time. But I mean, Rooker does pose a lot of things, and when he's hot, he's going to contribute. But ultimately, what I'm looking at is like he could be a nice day off guy who can just provide power. If you missed out on power this year, it's more of a deeper league watch or ad at this point. But honestly, Rooker is somebody you need to consider and look at. And let's see what the A's do. They're moving to Vegas, so maybe the ownership tries to bring in some talent before they get in Vegas so they can get an actual fan base. So, maybe they might make a positive move this year. We shall see. But right now, Rooker is definitely a watch, maybe add speculative, definitely in those deeper leagues.
Yeah, man. Actually, I'm agreeing with you on Rooker. I do like him. 38% owned on Yahoo. Definitely somebody to throw on your watch list. Had 30 home runs, 69 RBIs, hit 246 last year. The power's absolutely legitimate. Played 137 games, 463 at bats. You give this guy 550 at bats. You're talking about 35 homers, 85 RBIs, and the batting average is not killing you in today's day and age. So, Matt, great job on Rooker. Somebody that I've definitely added to a couple of my watch lists as well. Another guy, another waiver wire darling so far. It's so funny that I'm here saying waiver wire darling, or like the season's like literally, it has technically started already, but the real opening day is, right around the corner. But Gavin Stone, with a big, dominant 8 strikeout performance over, like was 3 2/3 innings to finish up his spring, has secured himself a spot in this Dodgers rotation. And Gavin Stone is somebody that I've absolutely loved, for years. He's been, pretty strong in the minors, getting his, chance to break out this year. He's been really, really good, man. Great strikeout percentage this spring. I really think he's somebody that could take a step forward this year. Right now, Gavin Stone's only 43% owned, so somebody that you still can go take advantage of on waiver wires. But Gavin Stone really can be in for a breakout season this year.
Yeah. No, I mean, Gavin Stone is one of the guys I've made sure the second the draft was over and was able to throw a guy on IL, I picked him up instantly. If you drafted a guy like Senga or Scherzer or Kershaw or any of the other 18,000 pitchers that got hurt this year, Gavin Stone is a nice replacement on that Dodgers team and, should benefit in the wins category. And honestly, looks like he's really turned the corner. When he got called up, wasn't sure we were going to get, but personally, I liked his minor league track record better than I liked Bobby Miller. So I just wanted to see what he was going to do when he got to the league. He didn't do much, but I think he may have turned a corner and figured it out. But yeah, let's move on. Let's talk about Zach Netto. If you're looking for a shortstop, this is the guy I walked away with in my draft because I just said, hey, there's nobody else out there. I'm going to wait and I'm just going to pick up Zach Netto. and I actually don't mind it. He's having a great spring. Quite honestly, he has 51 at bats. He has 11 runs. He has 2 doubles, 2 triples, 3 bombs. Uh, 12 ribs, 4 stolen bases. He's batting 333. If you don't know much about Zach Netto, outside of the fact that he plays for a terrible team, um, Neto's minor league career is short, but looks really good, and numbers are pretty padded. He's batted 299 in his 147 at bats in 22, and batted 450 at bats. But the thing that really just like gets me going is in 22 he had 5 home runs in 147 at bats. In 23 he had 5 home runs in 50 at bats and 40 at bats. And then in 2023, when he got the call, he had 9 home runs and 289 at bats. Now, the batting average wasn't great when he came to the bigs, but bro, he's 22 years old. So, you got to look at it like this. He's a young dude getting first whiff of talent. And now he was showed off a couple of his tangibles that he had in the minors, and now brings it into this spring training, now starts bringing in the batting average and kind of taking that step forward. Netto could be somebody that we're actually talking about as, a higher end draft pick next year. I wouldn't say like, a top 5, top 6 shortstop, but maybe top 12, somebody that, walk away as a starter next year in a 12-man league. So like for those, corner in, well, I guess he would be more like what, middle infield, or I'm out of
Middle
it.
infield, middle
Yeah,
infield.
middle infield, in a deeper league or just in general, I could really consider adding him. There's a lot of upside with him. Yes, the team around him isn't great, but it's much better than guys on like, the Athletics. So like, I mean, there's still Taylor Ward and others on that team that could still produce around Netto to give him the counting stats that we need. He might be, if he really had a highlight season, maybe 80-80, and I'd be really happy with that, getting for free 99 right now. So honestly, I'd consider adding him before he blows up.
Yeah, Matt, I like Neto too. Somebody who's young, had prospect pedigree. Like you said, decent amount of power. He's somebody that in an ideal year, I could see him going, like 20, maybe 22, 25 home runs, 15 steals. The batting average is what I really want to see, come through. He did it in the minors, very limited, sample size. I'm pretty sure he was, a strong batting average guy in his college career. Just really want to see how it's going to look for the young Zach Netto in the bigs this upcoming season. He's projected to hit 9th. I could see him moving around between 9th, maybe lead off if he really gets hot. Going to be big things for Zach Netto. Got him on my watch list as well. We got one last guy here. Let's move on to Max Meyer, somebody I absolutely loved before he got Tommy John. I really, really think this kid is somebody you need to go out there and say, hey, add him now. Pitching is something that's going to be super, super thin. Watch after the first, couple of weeks, you're going to be looking back and saying, hey, I should have, listened to Matt and Dom, got these guys on my watch list and added them. Max Meyer's 26% owned right now, has really good stuff. We all know the wonders that, Miami works with starting pitching. Meyer is absolutely, no subjection to the rule. But real quick, Max Meyer this spring has yet to give up a run, 3 games, 7 innings, 5 strikeouts, 0.71 whip, has had some really good seasons in the minors. Was, I believe, like the number 2 or 3 pitching prospect in the league at one time. So Max Meyer, somebody you need to get on your watch list. And I think you actually probably need to add him right now too.
Yeah, no, I agree. He has a short leash, so if he does start tailing off and not performing, he will be sent down pretty quickly. But what I like about Max Meyer, I'm gonna make this quick because we got to get out of here, is he has a full arsenal. He has 4 pitches. He's not like one of these younger pitchers that are coming up and they only got like 2 good pitches. He has 4 good pitches that I think can actually be sustainable and be successful in the MLB. So quite honestly, Max Myers might be one of the sneakier pickups this year. I'm really glad to see him back out on that mound. But yeah, Dom, take it away.
Yeah, guys, that is all for us today. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, rate, and review. And shout out to our everydayers and new listeners making Locked On Fantasy Baseball your first listen each and every day. And guys, come on, join us on Subtext. It's a time of year where you want to get that early edge up on your competition. We have the link in our bio or wherever you're listening to our Subtext. But guys, until tomorrow, see ya.
Peace.